So we don't have a trial date, but we have a date to have, largely the biggest piece of evidence being destroyed, which just seems backwards.
Well, if they're doing their jobs right, that's what should be done. That you scan with all the evidence undisturbed, including the victims' bodies present. It makes no sense to have the bodies removed and then bring the scanner in, okay? Because the crime scene has been altered. It appears to be the kitchen window where they're processing it for a handprint on the outside of the house, but through that kitchen window, it appears there's in the background a kitchen cabinet that has some blood stains on them, including some rivulets of blood flowing downwards.
Everything that was there should have not been disturbed, and they should have scanned the scene. If those victims were still there, they will be in these 3D laser scans.
The defense scans are going to be totally different than the crime scene investigator scans, because the crime scene had been altered tremendously by the time the defense got in, to the point that even personal belongings were removed.
I have leaked footage. I've seen things that they may have not seen. I know for a fact the path that this white salon, this car took, and people are going to wonder what he was doing when he parks in certain locations for extended amount of time. What was he looking at? I want to know what he was looking at, and I don't know how you can see what this man was looking at without the house being there.
Now the FBI is back on scene in Moscow at the home where 4 University of Idaho students were murdered nearly a year ago. And they'll be there at least through tomorrow. Now, this is new video. Take a look from today. They're collecting measurements to build visual and audio exhibits, as well as a physical model of the home where Ethan Chapin, Xana Granodal, Madison Mogan, and Kaylee Gonzalez were killed on November 13th.
So for the audience that's watching, and that if you're just coming in on a replay, this is a demonstration of the 3D laser scanning from Faro. In crime scene and evidence collection, this is state-of-the-art, top quality, real live, what the crime scene looks like. And in the Moscow quadruple murders, this is what the jury is going to be able to see inside of 1122 King Road, whether it's still standing or it's knocked down.
I understand that this has to go down, and I'm not going to fight it forever, and I want to be careful what I fight.
Now we have the capabilities with that new premium scanner that they have on scene that could go through the cloud all the way to Quantico to that unit, and they could start building that model very shortly after those scans are complete.
I visited them when I went down to Washington, D.C. on a couple of cases, and I actually worked with them, and they were great at what they did in building these 3D models.
They're top notch. That's all they do full time, is build models and bring in data sets and reconstruct scenes from all over the country.
We're all trying to get through this the best way we can. I want to be absolutely respectful to every single one of the parents.
Yeah, it coincided at almost the exact same time that the hearing was happening. All of a sudden, we're seeing images and pictures.
Show you where these stains were and how far they traveled. So I'm going to zoom in here, and this is the area right here where those are. As you can see, if I pan out a little bit, there is dirt and ground and earth right up to that point.
The front of the house, the front doorway, we had luckily multiple photographers here in Idaho. One was helping me here at the courthouse. We sent the other one here and caught that footage of those trucks right up against the door. I asked the University of Idaho about it. Basically what they told me was that the court has officially turned over this house and the possessions that were inside of it to the families, meaning everything that belonged to the victims inside of that house can now go back to their respective homes. The move-out process, Brian, expected to take at least several weeks. And then I also asked about plans for a demolition. They're not budging on that. They said, as of right now, this is only a move-out process. There are no plans right now for demolition.
That's interesting, because they've said in the past that they did plan to demolish the house, something that makes a lot of the family members of the victims very, very upset, thinking that that house should remain there in case there's a trial and perhaps the jurors want to walk through. So we'll have to see if they decide to leave the house there. But certainly interesting to see the action happening out there today.
When I asked Ed Wallace that question as a crime scene unit professional, as a expert in forensics and crime scene preservation, Ed said, no, to hold that house. And again, he's here with us in the chat. He's watching, he's listening. And when you get something coming like from Ed and Barbara Butcher and Murray Marks, and I asked several other professionals their opinions, and they were just against it. Leave the house.
It seemed like a real long shot. It seemed like the spaghetti that was most likely to fall off the fridge. But what was the story there? What did the defense team from Bryan Kohberger say about the grand jury process, and why did they think it was unfair?
Yeah, they were claiming a few things. They claimed that the grand jury was given the wrong jury instructions when it comes to probable cause and beyond a reasonable doubt. They also claimed that there may have been biased jurors, that improper evidence may have been presented. It was a very, very long brief that they filed, and I was in Moscow when they argued this in front of the judge. And you could tell during the court hearing, Ashley, that the judge wasn't really buying it.
When is this going to happen? When is this trial going to happen? So because of that, a lot of people feel like they have the right to weigh in, and many people have actually been emailing the university president about this.
They have, and they're posting the emails on social media. I was reading through some of them today. They've been signing the change.org petition that you spoke about. I think it's up to about 1,600 signatures now, and it's growing every hour. And then they've also been emailing the university president, because ultimately it was him who made the decision, and he's been emailing some of them back. They've been posting the emails where he's essentially writing them back with basically the same press release that he sent out to us last week, saying that the house is a grim reminder to the students and to the community, and that it's time for it to come down.
That brings me to the issue of Mrs. Chapin. Ethan Chapin's mom, Stacy, has given that statement to me, saying that, you know, we're okay with this at this point. We agree with the university. We think it's in the best interest of the kids who are there, including her two kids, and the community as a whole. What are your thoughts about that?
Lead investigators at the county, state, and federal level, and it is to my knowledge that they are not in all agreement. And we tried to get them to all come in agreement and address, come out with a formal statement. So if they can't all agree, I find it very hard for the parents to all agree.
Is going back to an empty location where there's no bodies there. There's no. You're in this scenario that you put forth here. Is they put 3D laser goggles on, virtual reality, and now you're walking into these locations with the victims there. You can't get that by going back now.
No, but you're right. You're 100% right. But after having laid that foundation of seeing the virtual reality, seeing the 3D laser scan, and the actual physical model that was made, they can go back if they want to go back. See, when you do these virtual reality things, you're not going to hear the creaking of stairs, the creaking of doors swinging open and closed. And again, the crime scene has been altered numerous times. There'll be some difference between the way it was on the day the bodies were recovered to how it is now. Okay, but it's still, I would never want to lose a case because I created reasonable doubts in one juror who was insistent on going out to that house and taking a look, and now they can't because the house is gone.
It was donated to the University of Idaho, December 28th, at the last day of the year. Is there some type of financial benefit for them to do this as opposed to hold on to it to the end of 2024 and possibly, we don't know when this trial is going to kick off. Could it be happening into 2025?
And I'm not going to fight it forever, and I want to be careful what I fight, because this is a losing battle. But
he's talking about healing and the process of going forward, and the pain that the surrounding residents and the folks who attending the University of Idaho and everyone in the community, that he's talking about the pain and trying to heal and move on. If you think that the house at 1122 King Road should be torn down, press a 1. If you say no to it being torn down, press 2. If you think it's after the trial that it should be taken down, press a 3 in the chat. Let's see.
There's so much evidence with the phone records, with the vehicle data, with We don't need a memorial. We want justice.
Exactly. Justice first, memorial second.